In this video, we're going to learn how to add and subtract decimals. Adding and subtracting with decimals can sometimes be confusing, but if you can add and subtract with whole numbers, then you can add and subtract with decimals. You just have to remember a couple rules. The first and most important is to line up the decimal points and add and subtract down like you would with whole numbers. So let's try this with example 1. We have 3 and 62 hundredths plus 4 and 58 hundredths. So we want to rewrite this so that we can line the decimals up. So we would write 3 and 62 hundredths on top plus 4 and 58 hundredths. Notice that we lined the decimals up perfectly on top of each other. So now we just add down like we would with normal whole numbers. So we have 2 plus 8, that's 10, so we put the 0 and we carry the 1. 1 plus 6 is 7. Plus 5 is 12, so we put the 2 and we carry the 1. 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 4 is 8. Then we bring the decimal point straight down into the answer. So we're left with 8 and 20 hundredths, or 8 and 2 tenths. We can do the same thing with subtraction. So we want to rewrite the numbers in example 2 so that we can line up the decimal points. So we have 8 and 64 hundredths minus 3 and 37 hundredths. Now we just subtract down like we would normally do with whole numbers. So we have 4 minus 7. We can't do that, so we have to borrow from the 6. So make this a 5, and this becomes 14. So 14 minus 7 is 7. 5 minus 3 is 2. Bring the decimal point down. 8 minus 3 is 5. So our answer is 5 and 27 hundredths. So in those first two examples, everything lined up nicely. All the numbers had the same number of places, and it was easy to line the decimal points up and add and subtract down. But sometimes the numbers you're adding or subtracting don't have the same number of places, or the decimal points don't naturally line up. So what do we do in those situations? Let's take a look at example 3. We have 12 plus 4 and 42 hundredths. Now you might be saying to yourself, 12 doesn't have a decimal point, so how can I line it up? Well, we can rewrite it this way. When we rewrite the 12, we can place a decimal point directly to the right. And then when we write the 4 and 42 hundredths, we can put it right below. Now this next step is optional in addition, but it's required in a problem like this if this was subtraction. So I suggest doing it in addition and subtracting, and that is adding in placeholder zeros. So we can add in placeholder zeros to the right of the decimal point in 12. You can add placeholder zeros all the way to the right of a decimal point or all the way to the left of a whole number without changing the value. So now, if we add down, we have 0 plus 2 is 2. 0 plus 4 is 4. Bring the decimal point down. 2 plus 4 is 6. And 1 plus a 0 there is 1. So our answer is 16 and 42 hundredths. Let's try this subtraction problem in example 4. So here we have 14 and 3 tenths minus 5 and 29 hundredths. As you can see, we lined up the decimal points, but the number of places isn't equal on each side of the decimal points. So as I said before, in subtraction, you have to put the placeholder 0 so that we have something to subtract from. So we're going to put a placeholder 0 right to the right of this 3, and now we just subtract down like normal. So 0 minus 9. Can't do that, so we have to borrow from the 3. Make this a 2, and this becomes a 10. 10 minus 9 is 1. 2 minus 2 is 0. Bring the decimal point down. 4 minus 5. We can't do that, so we'd have to borrow from here. Make this 0 and this 14. 14 minus 5 is 9, and that's a 0, so that's your answer. 9 and 1/100th. So these last two examples are just some extra practice. So if you want, you can pause the video here and try them on your own, and then follow along with me as I go through the solution. So let's rewrite number 5 and line up the decimal points. So we have 3 and 14 hundredths plus 10 and 6 tenths. We can put a placeholder 0 here, and now we just add down like we would with whole numbers. So 4 plus 0 is 4, 1 plus 6 is 7, bring the decimal point down, 3 plus 0 is 3, and 1 plus nothing is 1. So our answer is 13 and 74 hundredths. Let's do the same for number 6. So we have 23 and 26 hundredths minus 18 and 4 tenths. Let's put another placeholder 0 here, and now subtract down like we would with whole numbers. So 6 minus 0 is 6, 2 minus 4, can't do that, so we have to borrow from the 3. So we have 2, this becomes a 12, 12 minus 4 is 8, bring the decimal point down, 2 minus 8, can't do that either, so we have to borrow from this 2, that becomes 1, this becomes a 12, 12 minus 8 is 4, and 1 minus 1 is 0. So our answer is 4 and 86 hundredths. So hopefully now you guys have a better understanding of how to add and subtract decimals. Thanks for watching.